Welcome to the Strata Originals Podcast. And I'm really excited today to talk to Berna Rusagara, who is from Women Rwanda. And I was so intrigued by what you're doing and motivated and empowered by some of the things you're doing. Maybe we could just stop there for a minute before we get too far ahead, because I'm curious about you and how you started and how you got to Women Rwanda.
Great. Thanks, Leanne, first of all, for having me, and really nice to talk to you again, both before and now. It's a pleasure. So how we got to Women Rwanda. So first of all, I believe in equality at all times, and there is a passion that has always been in me, which has been for development and also for addressing women issues. So my very first job was my very first professional job, if I may say, was working for a local NGO dedicated to eradicating poverty. Now, they always say that that first job typically really directs somewhat your thinking, your conversations. But I noticed that I was always interested in understanding business for good. And I think that you kind of tackled it a little bit as well in your journey. So something that has always been passionate was business for good. And that includes also the inclusivity part of business, which has been women in business, women in technology, women in agriculture, women in the creative arts, women in leadership. And I found that all throughout my journey in the last, since 2009, so in the last 15 years, I've been working with organizations, addressing and tackling some changes to improve processes, improve systems, work on interventions that work towards good. So this includes both my passion this includes both my professional part and my personal life. And this has been through health organizations, organizations in business and finance. And it led me here to Women Rwanda. It's been such a great, I've been here for a year now. And maybe I'll pause there.
So I love that you use the word passion, right? Because your passion are those things that you're not okay with. So in your case, it was, or that break your heart, that you feel you were born to serve. So in your case, it was equality. And
equality.
And I love that. So I love that you're super clear and you're actually living in your passion of how you want to serve the world.
It's an opportunity and I'm grateful. Yes, thanks, Leanne.
That's why you're so happy all the time, because you're living in your passion. Let's start with the positive side. What are some of the amazing things that Women for Women do in Rwanda that help women business owners, entrepreneurs, and as an organization?
Right. Sure. The core mission is to build social and economic power for women. And that's quite huge, and it's in different levels. So one part of the social aspect of it, Leanne, is the journey of supporting women to build her own agency, to participate in decision-making, in connecting to networks, in understanding the value of her work, in learning basic financial skills. So we also support, we also have modules in health and wellness. So understanding nutrition, understanding sexual health, reproductive. But we also have the economic side, which is in two levels, I would say. We have the foundational trainings, so basic financial literacy, numeracy. We also have business trainings, teaching them. We also have VSLAs. This is Village Savings Loan Association. I think I'm very passionate about that because I think that it's a model where you have women come together groups of 25 in cooperatives. They learn how to save. They learn how to borrow. They keep each other accountable. They learn some governance rules. If you agree to pay back within 2 months, you will pay back in 2 months. You have someone who is responsible, who will be accountable for it. And it's a group where sometimes you also share personal goals. So we also have graduate training, and I'll discuss about that later. But this is really strengthening our the women that we work with. So, and this could be in facilitating connections to financial institutions, to mentors, to investors, to insurance companies, understanding that journey. So if you ask me about a woman and who has gone through our program, and when she comes, I think there's one that I thought about. Before she joined our program, there is a Men Engage program that I think I would love to talk about, actually, in part of that we do, because we have our socioeconomic program, but we do have complementary aspects that do support our women's empowerment. And one of those aspects is Men Engage, our Men Engage approach. We work with men who are allies to help us continue our mission. So one of our participants, before she joined the program, had some challenges because her husband felt that once she started to make money, she would disrespect him. And here you see a combination of cultural and societal norms that we try to address.
Right.
And that was his thinking in the beginning of the program. So we engaged him and taught him a few things such as positive masculinity, household finances. And I think this one really touches my heart, because even areas of violence where in some few cases where they believe that by silencing her, it's a way of submission and a way of leading the household. And in this case, when you look at the end part of the problem, the end line, when they have joint financial decisions, this particular example, they have a business of growing beans and maize that increased its earning from 2 million to 7 million. That would be similar to 2000. Well, the exchange rates are a little changing, but you know what I mean, moving from approximately, let's say, $1,800 to $6,800, which is quite significant for a person. But I think what is also more important is the attitude, the behavior that is changed, the mindset to know that we can actually, and the agency to choose, now that we have made money, how can we prioritize what to invest? Maybe this time we will invest in health insurance or education for the children. So that is some of what we do. It's a holistic approach to empower them socially and economically. And we can discuss the different aspects socially and also economically that we tackle, but that's a summary of it.
Yeah, no, and I love that, because it's the wholeness of it. Because without the education of the men that are attached to the women, then they won't have balance because of, I guess, societal norms, like the historic societal challenges that maybe women have had. So why don't you talk a little bit about sort of the history of the societal norms, and so that we can just get a base understanding of some of the unique challenges.
Okay, so you know what I've realized, Leanne, is even though local contexts have different challenges, they are similar in general to really what women experience. And this could be also from a corporate point of view in America, in Canada, in Saudi Arabia. It boils down to fear and shame sometimes. And this is just taken in every depending on the on the context, some of those two things really keep going. Confidence. So maybe the understanding is most men are the ones who make smarter investment decisions. And so building the woman's confidence to be able to know that it is to trust her own will and power to be able to make those decisions is part of it. So tackling challenges, I think that challenges that women face internationally are somewhat similar. But I must add that in areas where there are still challenges of financial inclusion or poverty, they are heightened. And the effects can be seen in different ways, such as intimate partner violence that's caused by that as well sometimes. So the cultural norms that, part of it is what a man does or the value of a woman's work, or even such as the time in the household, in what kind of work that women can do. We are working on a project to introduce women back to construction, and some of those there is a bit of hesitation. You've given them, we all have permission, but now it's, will I be able? Does a woman really go into brick making? Some of those challenges do occur. So I would boil them down to confidence, fear, without talking about access yet. So access is obviously the biggest. We can't really sum the biggest or the lowest, but in terms of on this side, it's going to be fear, confidence, and shame if I do this, shame if I speak up, shame if I keep it in, shame keeps following. But also there are some challenges that occur, such as inequalities that exist in terms of access, and that's access to finance services. Some of the products are not tailored for the businesses that some of the women take. So,
and one of the things that you were mentioning before was like they all want collateral.
Yes.
So it's
yes.
chicken and egg. Well, if you don't have collateral, how do you get a loan? And then how do you build up equity if you can't get a loan? So then you have no collateral, right?
That is one of the biggest, because you will work with financial institutions, and they are requesting for collateral, high collateral, or the interest rates are a little bit higher, and you have a participant who has a working business, meaning you know that at every end of the week, regardless of how small the amount, there is movement. There is movement in the activities. So how could we account for that credit if it were in another country? How could we account to see the movement in the businesses today? How could you include that? Maybe we won't have land to put as collateral, but you'll be able to see the movement. Every Wednesday and Friday is open market day, and she'll be able to get this income from those market days. How do you consider that?
Yeah.
And how do you work with them to address some of those challenges?
So it's really at the heart and at the start. So I didn't mean to make a rhyme there, but at the heart and at the start of it, it's really about education of the men, of the financial institutions, of potential investors, as well as obviously the women. But it's really everybody has to be educated on sort of the current state and what the challenges are.
Absolutely. And I think shared learnings come such a long way. They're really helpful. So education of the woman, education of the man, education of the household, working closely with the community, sharing the learnings and the challenges. Part of our program, we work with associations. So we work with the with the Investigative Bureau, Rwanda Investigative Bureau, whom we contact if there's any cases of violence. So working with various institutions, it's a community, it's a district, but we have a lot of support from different levels of the government. So we have sector level, we have district level, we have national level, we have aligned ministries. So we sort of know the point of contact. So I would say education, but also collaborating with those partners in different areas for that support. So it's a collective effort.
How do women find out about you, or do you outreach, or do your partners outreach? Like, how do women become involved with Women for Women Rwanda?
Okay, that's a very good question. So we work with the district, so the level I was telling you, to identify women. So we work with vulnerable women. And normally the district and the communities often have a list, and we do it together with the communities. So even though the final identification is with us and the district, we work alongside the community where they identify which of the women are vulnerable and who would need our program. It's a 12-month investment, our flagship program, and it requires you to attend these classes 2 to 3 times a week. So it's an investment in all of us. Mm-hmm. So it requires also that drive to learn and improve. But so we work with the district, we work with the communities, but we also have awareness campaigns that know. But also, I would say, word of mouth is very good. I often like to hear, when they might not say Women for Women, they're like, is that women? Is that women? So it's often, the other participant who will tell the next person. Yeah. What's interesting is when you see in a community, we were talking about agriculture earlier, and you see that this community has been successful in green bean production, and you find that the neighbors are all doing the same. So sometimes it's word of mouth, it's action, it's the visible success stories. But our approach is obviously not only with the community, but with the district.
Right. Which is a great way to do it. Let's take somebody from when they get in touch with you, when they're presented to you, and take us through what that looks like and what some of the benefits are and what they in particular learned.
All right. So I'll just probably talk about just a little bit on the technical side, because one way of sustainability, we love to really monitor progress. So in the beginning, after our market assessments and working with the district and identifying the women, we obviously we have a questionnaire that we normally like to have discussions and conversations and complete with the participants to see where their level is, to see what they would hope to achieve, what is the biggest thing they'd love to learn. And normally that's really good, because at the end of the program, you get to compare and the end line and see what have they achieved. Did they get their favorite subject matter? Have they increased their income? But most importantly, after 2 years, how do they feel about their connection to the community? So in general, when the participants come, as mentioned, target group are vulnerable women. Majority of the time, they have not acquired basic skills. So we start off by teaching them the basic skills. So it could be from hygiene, health, as mentioned, rights, children's rights, understanding even about legalization of marriages, what it could be as a benefit, because when let's say a husband passes away, there's been incidences where the family-in-law would want to take the property. So the holistic training of rights and belonging and just being very confident and being able to have a voice is something that we walk them through. So in that beginning, we start off with the basics trainings. So as mentioned, in economic, we'll start off by literacy and numeracy. And by the end of the program and advanced trainings, we are now teaching them how to cost. Let's say now that prices have increased in the market by 16%, how do you adjust that with your product? Because initially, it's a very important skill, because now as an entrepreneur, you're thinking, okay, the prices have gone up, people are not going to buy from me. But now how about you go back and then reprice it based on the market, but also have some sort of planning for the saving for these sort of shocks that occur. So in the beginning, we walk them through foundational training until the very end, where within 3 months, they are choosing a vocation of choice. So you can choose leather making. They make some really good sandals made of leather, handbags made of leather, braiding, doing hair. You can choose agriculture, good agriculture practices. You could choose handicrafts, really, really, really talented. But also there is another part of agriculture focusing on, let's say, yogurt making, jam making, strawberry juice, strawberry wine that I had for the first time last year. Nice. And yes, and so once you walk them through the foundational training of understanding literacy, numeracy, their rights, and then you go into building their economic power and decision making in the household, and they start to participate. By the end of the training, some of them have actually started their own business. But one good thing that I could talk about is at least the joining of networks. Networks has really, you can never do this alone. So whether it's through cooperatives, whether it's through just joining a social network for you to share some of these journeys, and training of trainers. So that journey from beginning, and as I mentioned earlier, the earlier example for the men engaged, where you have someone initially struggling with just being able to belong or to participate. And at the end of the journey is participating, owning businesses, joining competitions. We have some of our participants joining business plan competitions and winning. And that also, you asked earlier about how they know about it. That is how they know about us. So they will participate, win, and even there share their learnings. We have also study tours. So that journey that we call empowerment, or really economic power, and then that jumps into economic resilience, to be able to see in the cases where there are shocks, such as climate, such as prices, what do you do? But also there are other shocks that occur in different household dynamics. How do you handle that? Do you now know how to speak up, or which institution to go into? All throughout, we also have, I talked a bit about partnerships, right? And as we evolve, we've seen there are very important partnerships, such as mental health organizations, the district that, while it might not be our area of expertise, we're able to do referrals to the hospital. When we find some cases of malnutrition, then you do that referral. And having our women also advocate for others. That is one of the most beautiful ripple effects I find. Teaching their other participants or other colleagues about how to refer, or how to teach them how to report violence. So the end goal is to see a woman have agency and agency over her decisions, over her life. Yes.
Beautiful. What stands out in my head is sort of the journey of the woman who made those beautiful purses that you talked about. She's a purse maker and beautiful leather bags. And so tell us, how does she, is it just her? Does she have people that help her? How does she sell them? Does she distribute them? how does she get a website? All of those digital questions, because we're such a digital world now.
We are like the video podcast. Okay. They go through the vocational track of learning how to make leather products, and they'll make sandals, they'll make bags, they'll join in groups. This particular lady has a shop. She has a shop, and I might about 3 to 4 are in, but I believe that they also have a cooperative, but they're about 3 to 4. And then it's the journey to market, which I think is what your question is. Now, that journey to market, there is some pre-acquired knowledge. So before we start this, before they choose their vocational track, we work with them to understand the current market and to understand which products will sell easily, what for them that without, but they will still choose which one they want. So this particular shop is strategically located. So already that's a very good placement positioning in terms of marketing. So she already looked at the place and chose a strategic shop. But they also are now using digital phones, and how? Through WhatsApp catalogs.
Yeah, which is amazing. I didn't know that existed.
Yeah, and while there are some challenges such as internet connection, of course, infrastructure sometimes plays a role, but once they have their products on WhatsApp, then the network is able to see what sort of product they have. But once again, we also work very closely with them. So sometimes we'll get orders and facilitate them and share with them. And our sister organization is already putting in touch the ladies who make very beautiful necklaces to partner with some corporate organizations, so that when people come in for conferences, they buy them in bulk. They've also partnered with a local fashion store where they display them. It's high end, where they display the products. So not only WhatsApp catalog, but also the partners that we work with, and a few people who want some good leather bags. Also, our sister organization that is in the area as well in Kayonza. So it's a combination of different people who would be able to purchase that. And one thing that I think you raise a very good question is, one thing that we continue to look into is how to make that market bigger.
Yeah.
How to make that market bigger for her to be able to even export them. They're handmade. They're beautiful and sturdy. Yeah.
No, because, when, as people in North America, they see something, they want it, and it's like, why can't I buy it? But why can't I buy it? Because every other creator, person who makes, something unique and beautiful, they can put it on a TikTok shop or, a one-page website. Even when we hear about someone who has these beautiful things, my initial reaction is, well, let's get them opened up to the world. As a culture who has been online shopping for a while, that we don't think about, because we just click buy, and then our provincial taxes and customs duty is automatically calculated. And then how fast do we want it? And so it takes time to develop those processes to get things where they need to be, right?
Yeah, and I think, Leanne, you tackled such a very good point in terms of the process, because majority of this is really about the time and how you will get it to market. So there are some short-term goals, but there are also some long-term goals. So you tackled something as shipping. There's a client who loved the carpets that were made by the women. Really, really, really. And it was a carpet of $200 or $300, and it was unbelievable. I know that she said, I want all of them in so many colors, because they were so beautiful. And purchasing is no problem. And then now the logistics of sending this carpet to the US for another extra, I think it was another shipping cost for triple that, came up to over 2,000 or 3,000. And it was a very good opportunity to showcase, because they had an event and showcase all our crafts, and the order didn't go through. But I think that for the transfer, but I think that it was very, very good for us. It was an opportunity. Like I said, it's a process for learning for us now to start working with a different partner who understands the export market, who understands the standardizing, who understands also those website finishing that you're talking about. Because even though right now we're on WhatsApp and we have one other website that you can order as well from Women for Men International, Urugu Opportunity Center, we also have ours. We hope to be able to complete. Our website is part of it. Instant ordering is part of the near-term goals. Actually, that's not more long-term. That's near-term. But understanding all the players in that value chain is also what we're trying to do to scale. So in terms of the shipping, in terms of shipping, and quality is also an area that we're on, because we make very, very nice products, but to be able to ship them to international clients, but also, so I don't think stock is a problem, Leanne. It's not a problem. The participants are always ready, even for a few customizations. They're always ready. It is that finishing of expansion of the market that we continue to work on.
I think you need a good contact at FedEx. That's all.
Yeah, we do have some. So it's still a work in progress. I think it's something that honestly, I'm still very excited for this, because there's so many products. I think we talked about like the football. We talked about so many interesting products that are handmade and are also very that could be used everywhere. So I think that this is something that we're working on.
I always think the biggest terms possible, because you put so much into every woman and relationship, even every household, in educating them. It just makes me feel like I want to open the world up to them so that they can have the success and you can have the success. And so I guess I always jump to, what's that biggest thing? It makes a lot of sense. I mean, obviously there's people with the processes in place already, like exporters and as cooperatives, I think, of how these people along the line cooperate to get a product delivered wherever it has to go. So I certainly appreciate that. Although I'm still mystified. I've still never heard of WhatsApp shops. So, but I guess it's like what we have is Facebook Marketplace. I would assume it's kind of the same thing.
It is similar. And also it's really what, it's normally the usage of how you use your phone. It's normally the easiest. So what you tend to use your phone most is normally, also majority of the population does that. And really it's an easy way. It's an easy way to market. If you've noticed, even when it comes to transactions, here, they're done by mobile money. They're done by phones. So it's a different, different digital path that the phone really, really, really is holding such significant power to be able to make it a marketplace, make it a place for all of these financial transactions, for you to get your identity. Yeah, so the digital infrastructure really does play a role.
Now, but it's mostly through mobile, right?
Yes, mostly through mobile. There are challenges, and there are different challenges. There is also the infrastructure getting it. There's a connection. There is also the woman having the cell phone. If there's only one cell phone in the household, that also could pose different problems. But I think what's important here is just having all of those opportunities to be able to sell your product, to
Yeah.
be able to conduct a transaction, the challenges are still there. And there are ways that we really try to look into it. We were discussing part of our digital, we digitize VSLS, meaning we digitize the trainings that we do on village and savings associations and village savings and loans. And this digitizing or having all of these transactions on the phone really improves accuracy, improves trust, improves, it gets them digital literacy as well to conduct this. To answer your question, it's a way to also get them onto this digital platform to conduct these. And speaking of that example, we realized that there were some connection challenges when we made an upgrade of the app, for example. And we worked with the partner organization to create an offline, a USSD approach so that when there's no connection, we don't lose the transactions.
Right.
So these challenges are there, but I think what's important is you continue to look through with partners who would complement and also mechanisms. So not only mobile sales or WhatsApp sales, but also be able to just be ready on your shop, place and product to see that your product is ready and it's in the right place. But also, are there any offline mechanisms to ensure that none of your transactions are off? And majority of these don't have smartphones. So sometimes this is really the way to go.
Would there be an opportunity if someone wanted to be an angel investor in something? Like, is there a structure to include somebody from wherever that wanted to, or a foundation that wanted to invest in a particular business that could help? And we have local programs, well, in Canada and in the States, called Shark Tank and Dragon's Den. Yeah. People come in and they pitch their products to these investors. And part of that, though, is that they get the mentorship from the dragons or the sharks or whatever. And I was just thinking, it doesn't even have to be local. Like, you can do it virtually. Like, someone could take you on a tour of their place like this.
Yes.
And you can do mentorship virtually. Like, it doesn't have to be right there. I mean, it would help, obviously, if you could be there physically also, but with how many brilliant people there are out there. And so I think virtual mentorship would be really, I mean, if someone said, I'd love to offer this outside of my area or globally or to North America. And I think there would be quite a lot of people who would be willing to be a mentor. Right?
There you go. Leanne, you bring such a good point. So we haven't opened. That's a very good point. I almost, I'm hoping I can just review this and add this on my notes, because it's definitely something, a call to action. Reason why I said that is when we were looking into our learnings for last year with the mentorship program, and we had, of course, successful entrepreneurs supporting. During the year, there were challenges of actually physical presence. So that's a very, very good point. And while it's not done, we do our reviews of learnings. We talked about a virtual learning opportunity. I think why that one was a little bit difficult was there were demonstration farms. Some of them were in agriculture. So physical presence was important, but let's say pitching. You've given an example. We had 3 competitors win in a national pitching competition, but something like that, we could have it online as well, and to get a bit more. But also, there is somebody who was interested, who started an online shop and made it really big. You've mentioned, and I just kept on saying, I would need that. And I think he tackled one of the questions. I think the specific lady I wanted him to be in touch with, we thought about how to work with some translation services for specifically her shop. And I think it's something that is really nice. Thank you for that for that reminder. We thought about it locally, but I did not think about it from an international perspective as well, to open the markets further for virtual mentorship, which we do anyway.
Yeah. And even because the translation, like Google Translate, or, there's a lot of that right away, like you can be in front of a person and have that on, and it's telling you right there what they're saying, like right in front of you, as if you're talking language. So I don't know. I think I get so excited about so many opportunities, because you're doing such amazing work there in how you're building and the levels of education that have to happen, and in a pretty short period of time too, and how invested and involved the government is in supporting as well. They're very supportive.
Very, very all levels. And I think, Leanne, you bring such a good point, because I think I'm going to include the virtual aspect on the finance fair. I will include that, because so the finance fair is where we have all the actors together to talk about the challenges. But the most beautiful part about this is the women are leading it. They're able to present these challenges that they've had throughout the year, and also suggest a few opportunities. And we normally have, before that, we always have business plan competitions. But now I think we could also open that up to have a section of a virtual. So yeah, I think, like we said at the beginning of the podcast, it's a journey, but it's a beautiful journey in understanding where and how you can constantly revisit and adjust the program, and how we can all support each other.
But I want to get back to Berna, and how do you ever turn this off when it's at the end of the day? Do you actually chill and relax a bit, or is it always something that goes on in your brain?
You know what? I think this is a very interesting question, because a friend of mine asked me this last week. There are moments when the work is there are moments when there is tight period of deadlines where human-wise you need to switch off. But I can say that I switch, of course, and I get rest. So there's moments where everyone has that time to switch off. But this is something that's close to my heart. So I think everything that I see an opportunity. I see an opportunity for a business transformation for a participant. I see an opportunity for a pitch. So I think it's a passion. So switching off would be maybe switching off from everything, maybe switching off from work and life, and you need that break for yourself. But when the mind is switched on, then it automatically I really love what we stand for. It's also something really very important, and I think because I've worked in various organizations before, this particular mission is women focused. So it's very right there. It's women focused. So exciting. It's something you think about, it's something you see around, it's something very exciting. So yes,
it's part of you. And I think when it's our passion, it's just part of us. You have such a bright light that it just shows, and I think it attracts people that want to that have a like energy and want to help. So hopefully today we'll get some people interested that want to put up their hands and say, I'd like to be a mentor, or I'd love to help do this.
And there's many opportunities. No, it's a humbling, it's a beautiful, it's a great experience to be part of the journey. And I think in the beginning I talked about financial inclusion, but I think one very good thing about this is a social network side. How our energies help each other, and how we benefit from working together, or even sharing a plan that I have for the year, and having someone with me to remind me that it's achievable. So it's being that one, women for women, not to sound cliche, but just being able to support each other all throughout this journey is really nice. And I think, yeah, there's many opportunities. I'm really happy to brainstorm more about the digital as we all learn together. So yes.
Well, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. And we will be in touch with some updates too.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Leanne.